In the days when I was growing up in India, we used to have the person with the water cart. They would sell water. Because on the hot summer days, it was a big relief walking around here and there, and you get the cold water. So when I was a child, it used to be 1 paise, then later on it became 5 paise, then 25 paise. So I reached this water cart, I think probably in college at that time. And I said, how much is it? He said, 25 paise. I said, that's too much. Will you not give it for 15 paise? He said, you are not thirsty enough. If you were thirsty enough, you would not bargain about the rate. So, the first condition is you must be thirsty enough. Then you go about trying to find out, how do I get it? Just the thirst by itself is not sufficient. If you want to get out of the hall but keep trying to get out of the wall, without any knowledge of the door, you're not going to get very far. So along with the desire, the proper path must also be followed. Just like in the material realm, there's a proper way of doing things. Spirituality is not a matter of mental concoction. There are proper guidelines and proper ways that need to be understood and followed. So what is the proper path for attaining that divine love? Kripaluji Maharaj says it in this line after line after line. Each line is a lecture by itself. However, we need to cover this keertan during the retreat. That is why it has to be compressed. So in the first line, he says, Jo Piya Ruchi Maha Ruchi Rakhey, Prema Ras Soi Chakhe Re. The first condition, and what a powerful one, that soul who keeps his or her desire in the desire of the divine beloved will get prema ras. See, here itself we need to make corrections. We go to Guruji. Guruji, I've got rasgulla for you. And he says, right now my stomach is upset. I don't feel like eating rasgulla. Guruji, I have bought it for you with so much of love and affection. How can you do that? You must fulfill my desire, otherwise I'll be very disappointed. Now what is he asking Guruji to do? You please fulfill my desire. So who is the sevak? This is asking Guruji to serve us. Guruji, it is my desire. If you get up, I'll feel very happy. No, it's now I feel if you sit down, I'll be very happy. That is not the prema ras. That is the formula of material love. In the material realm, each lover is wanting the other to fulfill his or her desire. That is why in the material realm there are always fights. And in the spiritual realm, there is no fight between the soul and the Guru, between the soul and God. Because the soul has merged his or her desire in the desire of the beloved. See, the soul is the servant of God. And the goal of the servant is to serve. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks, Shri Krishna, my Lord, if I do so much of japa, will I attain you? Shri Krishna says, no, Arjuna. If I do 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas, will I attain you? Absolutely not. If I go and visit all the holy places on the planet Earth, what are my chances? Arjun, absolutely zero. If I read the Bhagavad Gita every day, not the Bhagavad Gita didn't exist then. If I read the Ramayana every day, no Arjun, no chance. What is the solution? You need to surrender yourself to me. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Arjun, God is attained by His grace, not your effort. And His grace is received when you surrender to Him. So you have to surrender. Now surrender, many people must be familiar, has 6 aspects to it. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso goptritve varanam tatha atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharanagatihi. However, all these 6 points are covered in the first point. And the first point is Anukulyasya sankalpaha. Anybody know the meaning of this? Anukul sankalp. To desire in accordance with the desire of the beloved. If you do that much, you are surrendered. So, there's a beautiful story about Hazrat Ibrahim. Hazrat Ibrahim was a king earlier and he kept a slave. So he asked the slave boy, "What will you do?" The boy said, "O king, whatever you ask." "By what name should I call you?" "Whichever name you wish to call me by." "What kind of clothes will you wear?" "Whichever clothes you give me to wear." "What is your wish?" "Whatever is your wish." "Don't you have any personal wish?" He said, "O king, I am your slave. My duty is to fulfill your desire and nothing else." Hazrat Ibrahim said, "You are my guru. You have taught me how to worship Allah. You are free. I release you." So surrender means to desire in accordance with the desire of God. And this requires sacrifice. In other words, love is not making God do what we want. Love is sacrificing your independent desire for His sake. So the prema ras doesn't come by fulfilling your desires. Prema ras comes by sacrificing your desires. That person who wants prema ras will have to be wary of karma and gyan. What is karma? The ritualistic portion of our scriptures is called karma or karma kand or karma dharma. In the Vedas, there are a whole lot of rituals that have been described. When you put your foot on the earth, you say this mantra. When there is a solar eclipse, you do this, this, this. When there is a lunar eclipse, you do this, this, this. Now, in regard to these rituals, firstly we need to understand that in order to do them correctly, 6 rules need to be fulfilled. Desh, Kal, Padarth, Karta, Mantra, Karma. The place where the ritual is being performed must be correct. The time, the muhurt of the day must be proper. The material being used must be absolutely pure and uncontaminated. The person who is executing it, the Brahman, must be perfect. The mantras that he is reciting must be recited in proper scales. And the procedure for the yajna, etc. must be perfect. Then you will get the fruit of this ritual or karma dharma. Like, for example, if you are doing a Shat Chandi Yajna and you stop at 99, don't think you will get the fruit of 99. You have not followed the proper procedure, you will not get any fruit. In other words, it is so strict. And let us say you follow the procedure perfectly of that ritual. What will be the result? Will you attain God as a consequence of it? No. Tapasvino, dana parayashasvino, manasvino, mantravidah sumangala, kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam, tasmai subhadra shavase namo namah. The Bhagavatam says, you follow the ritual perfectly. It will still not help you get released from Maya or attain God, because you have not yet made that inner connection with God. The reason why these rituals have been prescribed is because the inner thing is very difficult. The inner connection. And for the masses, you don't expect them to engage in such kind of bhakti where their mind is connected with God. So the masses need something more tangible. You ask me to go to the temple, all right, I'll go and come. Now sit and do Roop Dhyan, absolutely impossible, I can't do it. So the Vedas understand this practicality of the situation. And they have tied people up in rituals. Do this, do this, do this. With the principle that something is better than nothing. That at least the external form should be there. Later on, the internal sentiment will get added to it. However, if one remains in the ritual without grasping the internal devotion, then that will not lead to the goal. In fact, the scriptures say when your internal devotion gets enhanced, automatically the importance of the ritual slips out of your mind. Yada yamanu grihnati bhagavan purusha para satyajit matim loke vede cha parinishtitam. For example, in Varnashram Dharma, there are 5 debts that each person, they apply to each person, and each person is expected to do acts to be released from these 5 debts. Dev Rin, our debt to the celestial gods. You are getting the wind from the wind god, the sun from the sun god. So your debt to them, you discharge your duty to release yourself from that debt. Then there is Pitri Rin, the debt to the ancestors, from which one is released by doing the Tarpan, Shraddh. Then there is the debt to all other human beings, the Nri Rin. After all, if I am speaking to you, I am utilizing the efforts made by the inventor of the microphone. I should feel indebted to that person. We are utilizing the road system of America very conveniently. What about the people who built it? And then our debt to all the living entities. So there are elaborate procedures for you to discharge these debts. That is why you find people going and giving grains to the ants and grains to the birds. However, the Bhagavatam says, Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pitrinam na kinkaro nayamrini charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam paririthya kartum. That one who discharges his or her debt to God is automatically released from all these debts. Now you don't need to concern yourself, did I discharge my debt to so and so and so and so. You are engaging in your devotion to God. You are watering the root of the tree. It will automatically reach the leaves, the flowers, the branches, the twigs. So when we engage in devotion, the importance of rituals automatically starts fading away. The rituals are supposed to be an aid to devotion and not devotion and aid to the ritual. There are two kinds of devotion. One, the ritualistic kind, which is called Vaidhi Bhakti. And the other is Raganuga Bhakti, where love dominates. So some people are attracted to the ritualistic devotion. There are many rituals. Before meeting Maharajji, I used to engage in Vaidhi Bhakti. So the rituals were so intense. If you are doing the 12 o'clock Aarti to Radha Krishna, the dhup, the agarbatti has to be offered 3 times to the face, 2 times to the navel, 4 times to the feet, and 3 times to the whole body. If you are offering the deep, the lamp, it has to be offered 4 times, 2 times, 3 times, and 7 times. And there were different mantras. So the whole procedure would take 25 minutes. And when I first met Maharajji, then I asked him, what do you think about that? He said, that is devotion in military fashion. So I said, yeah, well, really, it is devotion in military fashion. Because I used to always keep forgetting the numbers. So the other is Raganuga Bhakti, where the love dominates. So many people, without realizing it, they make their bhakti serve the ritual. In other words, bhakti becomes subservient to the ritual. I have to fulfill my ritual. Without realizing, it should have been the other way around. The ritual should have helped the bhakti. There are different denominations of Jains. So some of them, they carry the broom behind, for their own religious reason, which we respect fully. So that lady was walking into the program, and our volunteer stopped that, listen, you can't bring this contraption into the hall. You have to keep it outside. So she said, it's my rule, I have to go along with it. They said, no, I'm sorry, we can't allow you to bring this big broom. So she said, all right. So she kept the little handle and left the rest there. I'm fulfilling my duty. I'm carrying this with me. I'm satisfied. So out here, what is happening is that the ritual is being worshipped, whereas the ritual is an aid to our devotion. So we do Raganuga Bhakti under Kripaluji Maharaj, where the inner devotion, inner sentiment is the primary thing. And those rituals which help, we take advantage of them. Which don't, we fearlessly reject them. Fearlessly. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraj. So the primary devotion that we engage in is simple, straightforward, and most powerful. Shravan, Keertan, Smaran. Chanting, hearing, remembering. Why? This is the most powerful way of developing the inner sentiment, of enhancing your inner devotion, your inner love. So, most of you have already participated in retreats, but those who are doing so for the first time out here, over the next few days, we will be endeavoring to drink the bliss of divine love through this threefold devotion of chanting, hearing and remembering. And of course there will be so many other varieties of things that will be added to it. There will be meditation, subtle body, relaxation, etc. So, Kripaluji Maharaj says that if you want prem ras, you be careful of, be wary of rituals. Don't be overcome by them. So, karm nekahu na nekahu bhave. It becomes insipid. And jnanahu nahi suhavere. Now, by jnana here, he doesn't mean knowledge. He means jnana yoga. In the spiritual path, there are varieties. There is the path of jnana yoga and there is the path of bhakti yoga. So each person is free to choose what they like. If somebody chooses Gyan Yoga, we respect them. That's your own personal choice. We've got nothing against. But for us who are on this path, we are not interested. This principle is tasteless to us. Why? Because the principle of Gyan Yoga is Soham. What is Soham? I find in India people doing Soham, Shivoham, without even realizing what they are saying. But really Soham means I am that God. Soham, Shivoham, I am that God. Now the devotee says, listen, this is not acceptable to me. I am the servant of God. People go by that path, they elevate themselves to great heights, but they don't get the bliss of divine love. The bliss of divine love requires humbling yourself before God. So the jnani says Soham, the devotee says Dasoham. The devotee says Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva, Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. O Lord, you are my everything. And the jnani says Swameva Mata cha Pita Swameva, Swameva Bandhuscha Sakha Swameva, Swameva Vidya Dravinam Swameva, Swameva Sarvam Swayam Deva Deva. I am the Deva Dev. So, well, that is their choice. We are not going to hold it against them. But Kripaluji Maharaj says that person who wants prem ras keeps this philosophy away. Actually, the philosophy itself, Shankaracharya, the propounder of Gyan Marg, Gyan Yoga, when he went to Kashi and he offered his respects to Kashi Vishwanath Bhagavan, out there he started crying. He said, my Lord, I have committed 3 sins. I have written in my bhashyas that God is indescribable. Anirvachaniyam. Brahma is indescribable, yet I have attempted to describe him. First sin. Second sin, I have explained that God is everywhere, and yet I am coming here to meet you. Third sin, I have explained that I myself am God, but yet I am offering my pranams to you. So Shankaracharya admitted the reason why Shankaracharya propounded his philosophy was it was necessary for the times. When he came on this planet Earth 2000 years ago, India was covered with the Buddhist philosophy. So the Buddhist philosophy is the widest philosophy. There is no soul, there is no God, just practice goodness. So Shankaracharya took them higher from there. He brought them back into the Vedas. So he did not emphasize the philosophy of divine love, although he was a Rasik himself. And to prove that point, Kripaluji Maharaj has included Shankaracharya's prayers to Sri Krishna in the Stuti. So the Keertan book, the prayers that are said after the Aarti, they have been composed by Shankaracharya. So we must, to relish divine bliss, keep this Gyan Marg philosophy also away. And Yoga, Duri Kari Rakhey. Now what is Yoga? What does he mean out here? See, each word has to be taken in context. Taken out of context, it can then create confusion. He here is referring to the Ashtanga Yoga philosophy. The Ashtanga Yoga spiritual path is of destroying the mind. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Maharishi Patanjali, in his Yoga Darshan, he says the aim of yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. In other words, to stop thinking. Stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking. Make your mind empty. So that is excellent. It will lead to detachment from the world. But if the mind is destroyed, it will also destroy your love for God. So somebody on the path of love doesn't want to stop thinking. He wants to think of God. He doesn't want to destroy the mind. He wants to make the mind divine with love for God. So this yoga dries up the soul, dries up the mind, effectively drying up the soul. So that is why somebody who wants the bliss of divine love, he keeps this yoga away. That doesn't mean that the person doesn't do yoga asanas. Kripaluji Maharaj, at the age of 90, he still practices yoga asanas to keep the body healthy, and thereby setting an ideal for all of us that we people must keep our body healthy, or endeavor to do so if we are serious about our spiritual path and about our service to God. So himself, he sets the example by practicing the yogasanas. So there is nothing wrong in practicing yogasanas and pranayam as effective means of keeping the body healthy. These are the gifts of the ancient sages to us, the gift of that ancient civilization. Like Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, when I read the Bhagavad Gita, he said, I daily bathe my intellect in the Bhagavad Gita. It is as if an empire speaks to me. His experiences when he reads the Bhagavad Gita, an ancient empire is speaking to him. Sages who practiced in the forests and in the Himalayas the art of remaining healthy, the art of keeping the body healthy to sustain a high level of spirituality. And that gift is with us, so we can definitely embrace that. But we don't make it a means of sadhana. Our sadhana is that of devotion, that of divine love. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की, जगद्गुरु श्री कृपालुजी महाराज की।